Welcome, dear listener, to Whispers of the Night. Tonight, we invite you on a journey to a hidden Hanok village tucked away in the misty mountains, where time slows and magic lingers in every breeze. Before we begin, make sure you're comfortably settled, perhaps with a blanket, soft pillows, and a warm cup of tea. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel. By subscribing, you'll join a community of dreamers who discover calm, wonder, and stories that carry you gently to sleep. And remember to tap the bell icon so you never miss a night filled with serenity and quiet adventure. Tonight, we follow Yuna, a gentle soul seeking rest from the bustle of life. As the sun dips behind the mountains, a hidden path emerges, leading her to a village that appears only at dusk. Here, lanterns glow with secrets, bamboo forests whisper names, and guardian spirits watch over tired hearts. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let us step together into a world of soft light, gentle winds, and ancient stories as we uncover the hidden Hanok village's timeless magic. Take a deep, gentle breath in and slowly exhale. Feel the weight of your body sink comfortably into your bed or chair. Allow your shoulders to soften, your hands to relax, and your mind to drift into a quiet, still space. Imagine a warm, golden fog rising through distant mountains, revealing a hidden path that leads to a peaceful village. Lanterns shimmer softly in the twilight, casting delicate reflections on cobblestones, and every breath you take carries the scent of pine and earth. With each inhale, imagine drawing calm into your body. With each exhale, let go of tension, worry, and stress. You are safe. You are at peace. You are exactly where you need to be. Hear the whispers of bamboo leaves, calling your name, softly guiding you toward gentle light. A moonfox curls beside you, warm and reassuring, letting all your burdens dissolve into the earth. The stars above hum a quiet lullaby, and you feel yourself floating in this serene rhythm, fully embraced by the night. Every heartbeat brings ease, every breath brings calm. The hidden Hanok village surrounds you with serenity. You are resting. You are dreaming. You are home. Hidden Hanok villages. The village that appears only at dusk. The day had begun like any other, yet Yuna felt an unfamiliar heaviness in her chest. The city's constant hum had worn her down over the past few months, and she longed for silence, for a place where time seemed slower, where she could breathe without being reminded of deadlines and endless notifications. Packing lightly, she had decided on a spontaneous retreat to the mountains, seeking the kind of solitude that could ease her mind and soften her thoughts. She had imagined quiet trails, the whisper of pine trees, and the distant sound of water over rocks. Yet, as she trekked deeper into the winding paths that twisted through the hills, she realized that solitude could also be disorienting. By mid-afternoon, the sun had begun its slow descent, brushing the sky with warm strokes of orange and pink. Yuna's map told her she was still some distance from the nearest town, yet her eyes had grown tired and her legs ached more than she expected. The trail that had seemed clear earlier now forked in ways she didn't remember, and the familiar markers of the path-painted stones and carved signs had disappeared. Her heart beat a little faster, a mix of anxiety and the thrill of the unknown. She adjusted the strap of her backpack and tried to orient herself, squinting at the sun as it dipped closer to the horizon. Shadows stretched long and twisted between the trees, and a subtle chill began to creep into the air, brushing against her skin like the soft exhale of the forest itself. Then she noticed a thin mist curling between the pines, golden in the light of the setting sun. It shimmered, almost as if alive, and for a moment Yuna hesitated, unsure whether to follow it. Yet there was something comforting about it, something that seemed to call her name in a voice too soft to catch clearly. Gathering her courage, she stepped toward the fog. To her astonishment, a narrow stone path had appeared, winding gently upward through the trees. It hadn't been there before. If it had, she had certainly missed it. The stones glowed faintly under her feet, smooth and warm, as though they had been waiting for her all along. Each step felt lighter than the last, and the anxiety that had knotted her chest began to loosen, replaced by a quiet curiosity. The path led her through a natural arch of intertwining branches, and as she passed beneath it, the mist parted like a curtain, revealing the village. It was smaller than she had imagined, yet perfectly formed. A cluster of Hanok houses with sweeping, curved roofs, wooden pillars, and paper-paneled windows. Lanterns hung from the eaves, each one glowing with a soft amber light that seemed to pulse gently, like the village itself was breathing. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, carrying the scent of wood and herbs into the cool evening air. The streets were empty, yet alive with an almost imperceptible hum, as if the very stones remembered countless footsteps and whispered stories with each step. Yuna hesitated at the entrance, unsure whether to announce herself or remain hidden. But before she could decide, a figure emerged from one of the houses, a woman, perhaps in her 60s, wearing a simple hanbok in muted earth tones. Her hair was pulled back neatly, and her eyes, bright and knowing, met Yuna's with a gentle warmth. "Welcome," the woman said, her voice soft but certain, as though she had been expecting Yuna all along. "You must be tired. Come, rest." It was strange, the familiarity in her tone, as if she spoke not to a stranger, but to someone who had wandered back home after a long journey. Yuna felt an uncharacteristic blush of relief and nodded. The woman beckoned, and Yuna followed her along. Narrow cobblestone streets, lined with lanterns and small gardens where autumn chrysanthemums swayed in the evening breeze. The village seemed suspended in a quiet harmony, untouched by time. Each detail delicate yet meaningful, the curve of a roof, the careful arrangement of stones in a garden, the way the light caught the edges of the paper windows. There was a sense of waiting here, of patience stretched over generations, and Yuna felt herself exhale in ways she hadn't realized she could. The woman led her to a small guest room in one of the Hanok houses. The room was simple, yet its simplicity felt luxurious. Tatami mats covered the floor, and a low wooden table stood in the center, accompanied by neatly folded cushions. A thin futon lay rolled at the corner, invitingly soft. Through the open window, Yuna could see the village bathed in twilight, the lanterns casting a golden glow across the rooftops. The smell of incense mingled with the crisp mountain air, and she felt a shiver of calm run through her body, the kind that comes when one feels utterly safe in a place they did not know they needed. "I will leave you to settle in," the woman said, bowing slightly. "The villagers will gather soon for tonight's story. If you wish, you may join us. The tales are old, but they are said to help weary hearts find rest." Yuna nodded, unsure if she could put into words the combination of curiosity and peace blooming inside her. The woman smiled, and without another word, she left. The soft click of the door sealing Yuna in a quiet, serene solitude. Yuna carefully removed her hiking shoes, setting them neatly beside the tatami, and sat for a moment on the floor. She breathed deeply, the coolness of the room brushing her skin, mingling with the lingering warmth from her walk. Her fingers traced the grain of the wooden table, smooth and comforting under her touch, grounding her in the present, the world. Outside the city, the relentless noise, the endless expectations felt like a distant memory, as if she had crossed some invisible threshold into a space where time bent differently. She imagined the villagers moving about, tending to their own small routines, the lanterns glowing steadily, the mountains standing as silent sentinels around the village. The quiet was alive in a gentle, breathing way, and Yuna let herself sink into it fully. As the first stars began to pierce the fading sky, she heard faint footsteps outside the door. Curious, she rose quietly and peeked through the paper window. The villagers were gathering in the small courtyard, forming a loose circle around a low fire that flickered with a welcoming warmth. There were men and women, young and old, all dressed in hanbok of soft, earthy colors. Their faces were serene, and their movements careful and unhurried. Yuna noticed that no one seemed to be in a hurry. Even the children walked slowly, their small hands brushing against the grass and flowers, as if greeting each plant individually. One of the elder man with silver hair, pulled into a neat bun, and eyes like polished stones, raised his hands gently, and a hush fell over the group. Yuna felt herself drawn to the circle, to the collective attention focused, not on anything worldly, but on the act of listening, of being present together. She stepped outside, barefoot on the cool ground, and joined the villagers. The firelight painted their faces in soft shades of gold and orange, casting long, gentle shadows that danced across the wooden walls of the surrounding Hanok houses. Yuna noticed that even in this simple arrangement, there was a sense of ritual, an understanding that something precious was about to be shared. The elder's voice began, quiet and rhythmic, carrying a cadence that seemed to match the slow pulse of the night itself. Long ago, he began, this village was hidden from the world, appearing only to those who needed it most. The mountains would guard it, the mist would guide it, and the lanterns would shine for travelers who sought rest for their hearts and minds. Our stories are the memory of the wind, the trees, and the earth itself, passed from one generation to the next. Yuna listened, captivated, as the words wrapped around her like a soft shawl, comforting and gentle. She felt the tension in her shoulders ease, the tightness in her chest dissolve. The story spoke not only of the village, but of the invisible threads that connected all living things, of the quiet moments that carried meaning beyond the rush of daily life. Hours seemed to stretch in a timeless way. Yuna lost track of the world. Outside the village, as the elders wove their tale stories of travelers guided by the mist, of blossoms that bloomed only in the moonlight, of rivers that remembered every step taken along their banks. The voices rose and fell like waves, each syllable soothing and deliberate. Yuna closed her eyes, imagining herself walking along the mountain paths described, feeling the mist on her skin, smelling the flowers in the hidden gardens, hearing the laughter of villagers long gone but alive in memory. There was a magic here, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet constancy of life lived in harmony with the rhythm of nature. Eventually, the night deepened and the elder's voice softened, and so he whispered, "We rest, we allow the day to settle into the earth, and we find peace in the knowledge that tomorrow will come as it should." Unhurried and full of quiet wonder, the villagers nodded, some yawning gently, others simply sitting with eyes closed, absorbing the calm that filled the courtyard. Yuna felt her own eyelids grow heavy, her body sinking into the serene weight of rest. She bowed her head slightly, a silent thank you to the village, to the mist that had guided her, to the golden lanterns that shone steadfast in the night. Walking back to her room, Yuna felt a warmth in her chest, a certainty that she had crossed into a place that existed both in the world and beyond it. A village that appeared not on any map, but in the heart of those who needed it. She carefully laid herself on the futon, pulling the soft blanket over her. Through the open window, she could still see the lanterns, flickering gently, like the heartbeat of the hidden village. The cool night air carried the scent of pine and the faint, lingering sweetness of the flowers in the gardens. Yuna's breathing slowed, her thoughts softening, and soon she drifted into a calm, dreamless sleep, held in the quiet embrace of a place that existed only for those who sought rest and gentle wonder. In that first night, Yuna understood something profound. The village was not merely a physical place, but a sanctuary for the soul, a gentle reminder that even in a world filled with noise and haste, there are hidden spaces where time slows, where stories soothe, and where hearts can recover. And as she slept, the lanterns outside continued their steady glow. The mountains whispered softly in the dark, and the hidden Hanok village stood serene, waiting patiently for the next weary traveler to find their way home. Night lanterns and whispering roof tiles. The morning sunlight spilled softly across the tatami mats of Yuna's small guest room, casting a delicate lattice of light and shadow that danced quietly as the day began. Yuna stirred slowly, stretching her limbs and feeling an unfamiliar lightness in her chest. The exhaustion she had carried from months, city noise, endless schedules, deadlines pressing at every corner, seemed to have melted away overnight. The quiet of the hidden Hanok village embraced her like a warm, gentle hand, guiding her senses to rest in ways she hadn't realized she craved. She sat up slowly, brushing a strand of dark hair behind her ear, and let herself listen to the subtle symphony of morning sounds. The gentle trickle of water from a nearby stone basin, the rustling of leaves as a breeze meandered through the trees, the faint cooing of birds hidden among the rooftops. Everything seemed to move in a deliberate, unhurried rhythm, and Yuna felt an instant desire to step outside and explore the village further. Barefoot, she slid open the wooden door, the familiar creak soft and comforting, and stepped onto the cool cobblestones. The air was crisp and fragrant, filled with the mingling scents of pine, soil, and something sweet she couldn't quite name. Each Hanok she passed radiated character. Some had gardens brimming with chrysanthemums, delicate and vivid, while others boasted tiny courtyards where moss grew thickly on stones, as if time itself had chosen to rest there. Yuna's eyes were drawn upward to the roofs, where tiles overlapped in perfect harmony. She recalled the elder's words from the night before, that each roof tile held a whisper from the past. Curiosity tinged with awe filled her, and she found herself tracing the edge of one house's roof with her fingers. She imagined the stories it must have witnessed: soft laughter of children, the whisper of lovers meeting in secret, quiet moments of meditation by villagers long gone. It was astonishing to think that something so ordinary as a roof tile could carry memory, a heartbeat of life preserved silently through time. Her wandering eventually led her to a small workshop tucked into the corner of the village. The window pane were fogged with age, yet a warm, inviting light spilled out, illuminating the shapes of lanterns at every stage of creation. Yuna paused at the entrance, marveling at the delicate craftsmanship. Lanterns shaped like stars, crescents, and full moons, each one meticulously assembled with bamboo frames and thin, translucent paper. An elderly woman looked up from her workbench, her silver hair glinting faintly in the light, and her eyes sharp yet kind. "You must be Yuna," she said softly, though with certainty, as if she already knew who she was. "I've been expecting you." Before Yuna could respond, the woman reached beneath the workbench and lifted a small, crescent-shaped lantern. Its paper glowed faintly, translucent and ethereal, and a gentle hum seemed to resonate within it, subtle yet tangible. Yuna's fingers closed around it instinctively, as if the lantern had been waiting for her touch. "This is for you," the woman said. "It is a guiding lantern. It will glow in the presence of those who are lost, not necessarily on a path, but in heart and mind. Carry it, and it will show you what you need to see." Yuna's eyes widened slightly, but she felt no fear, only a quiet reverence. She nodded, holding the lantern carefully, feeling its faint warmth. The woman returned to her work, and Yuna lingered a moment longer, listening to the soft clink of tools and the whisper of paper brushing against bamboo, absorbing the tranquil rhythm of the workshop. By evening, the village was transformed once again. The lanterns hanging from the eaves flickered to life, casting pools of golden light along the cobblestones. Shadows swayed gently across the walls, creating an almost dreamlike rhythm. Curious, Yuna followed the faint hum of her moon-shaped lantern as it seemed to pull her along the narrow streets. The roofs above shimmered subtly in the soft glow, each tile whispering with faint echoes from the past. Yuna felt as though she could almost hear them, fragments of lullabies, murmured conversations, and the quiet sighs of countless nights under moonlight. The hum of the lantern harmonized with these whispers, guiding her gently down paths she had not yet explored. Eventually, the lantern led her to a small, enclosed courtyard she had never seen before. The space was intimate and quiet, with a low fire flickering at its center. A circle of villagers had gathered, their faces serene, and they welcomed Yuna with quiet nods as she stepped into the courtyard. She noticed the stillness in their movements, a gentle patience that seemed to flow like water through the space. Even the children walked deliberately, touching the flowers as they passed, bowing to the old stones as though greeting old friends. Yuna felt a curious sense of belonging. She was a stranger, yet she was treated as though she had always been part of the rhythm of this place. The elder, with silver hair, the same who had spoken the previous night, raised his hands, and the courtyard fell silent. "Tonight," he began, his voice slow and soothing, "we speak of the guardian light spirit. Long ago, weary travelers, lost in forests and mountains, would sometimes see a faint glow in the distance. That glow was no ordinary lantern, it was the spirit, patient and kind, guiding them to safe places where they could rest. The light does not rush, it waits for those who need it most. It is gentle, persistent, and faithful, illuminating only, enough to comfort without overwhelming." Yuna held her crescent-shaped lantern and felt it warm in her hands. A faint glow pulsed softly, synchronizing with the elder's words. Her heart, so often restless and crowded with worry, seemed to loosen, making space for calm and stillness. She pictured the guardian spirit moving through shadowed forests, across rivers, and over hills, unseen but steadfast, a beacon for anyone carrying burdens too heavy to bear alone. The story resonated with her deeply, a mirror of the journey she had undertaken to reach this hidden village. The villagers listened with quiet reverence, their faces illuminated by firelight and the gentle glow of Yuna's lantern. She noticed subtle expressions, soft smile here, a nod of understanding there that spoke of shared knowledge, of stories carried forward for generations. The elder's voice wove the tale further, recounting how the spirit sometimes lingered near those who were troubled, offering gentle guidance in dreams or sudden insights in quiet moments. Yuna imagined the spirit moving through the village, invisible yet present, mingling with the whispers of roof tiles and the hum of lanterns. Time stretched in this suspended, peaceful rhythm. Yuna found herself leaning into the tranquility, feeling her body and mind align with the soft cadence of the night. When the story concluded, she realized her shoulders had completely relaxed. Her chest felt unburdened, and an almost forgotten sense of safety and wonder had settled into her heart. The villagers began to disperse quietly, leaving her alone for a few moments in the courtyard. She lingered, watching the soft flicker of the fire and the golden glow of the lanterns, appreciating the intricate harmony between the village, its stories, and its people. Each element, stone, wood, fire, paper, felt imbued with patience and care. Returning to her room, Yuna carefully placed the crescent-shaped lantern beside the futon. Its gentle glow cast calming patterns across the tatami mats, bathing the room in soft silver light. She lay down, feeling the smooth mat beneath her and the comforting weight of the blanket above. Through the window, the quiet night stretched. Beyond the village, the moon rising slowly over the mountains, painting them in muted shades of silver and blue. The whispers of the roof tiles seemed to hum softly in her mind, blending with the gentle pulse of the lantern. for the first time in many years, Yuna drifted into deep, uninterrupted sleep. Her dreams were calm and vivid, filled not with city noise or stress, but with moonlit forests, quiet streams, and the gentle guidance of unseen lights. She felt herself moving through misty paths with ease, her body light, her mind unburdened. Each step carried a sense of purpose and comfort, as though the guardian spirit had been waiting to escort her to peace all along. The weight she had borne from Munsta, relentless tension and fatigue melted completely in this space of quiet magic. As dawn approached, the first pale rays of sunlight filtered through the windows, painting the room in soft pinks and golds. Yuna stirred, blinking slowly, feeling rested in a way she hadn't known she could. Her mind was clear, her body light, and she carried the quiet serenity of the village within her chest. She picked up the crescent-shaped lantern, noticing how its glow had softened, now a subtle, constant presence, like the heartbeat of the hidden Hanok village itself. She smiled to herself, realizing that the village and its stories were more than a place, they were a sanctuary for the soul. A gentle reminder that even in the chaos of the outside world, there existed spaces of calm and wonder. Yuna's heart was lighter, her spirit steadier, and she knew, without doubt, that she would return to the courtyard, the lantern, and the whispers of the roof tiles whenever she needed guidance and rest. The hidden village had become her secret haven, a place of stillness, warmth, and gentle magic, where stories flowed like quiet rivers, carrying her toward peace, one night at a time. The bamboo forest that knows your name. The morning light filtered softly through Yuna's window, painting her room in gentle shades of gold and silver. She stretched languidly, feeling the lingering calm from the night before wrap around her like a warm, familiar blanket. Even after hours of sleep, her body felt lighter than it had in years, and her mind was free from the constant chatter and worries that had followed her from the city. Stepping barefoot onto the cool tatami, Yuna held the crescent-shaped lantern carefully in her hands, the soft glow of its light mingling with the sun's early rays. The subtle sounds of life, the tap of wooden sandals on cobblestones, the faint splash of water from stone basins, the soft coo of doves perched on tiled roofs welcomed her as she walked along the winding paths. Yuna had noticed over the past days how every element of the village seemed alive in quiet, deliberate ways. The roof tiles whispered memories from generations past, the gardens moved gently with the wind, and even the lanterns seemed to carry a kind of knowledge, glowing in the presence of those who needed their guidance. Today, she felt a particular curiosity tugging at her heart, a desire to explore further beyond the familiar courtyard and the small cluster of Hanok houses. As she wandered, a villager appeared from one of the houses, an elderly man with soft gray hair tied back in a simple knot. His eyes crinkled kindly, and he nodded toward her. "Good morning, Yuna," he said in a quiet voice. "If you have the time, I would like to show you a place few visitors see, a forest that listens." Yuna's curiosity sparked immediately. She followed him along a narrow path that led away from the main cluster of houses. The air became cooler, carrying the crisp scent of earth and growing things. Soon they reached the entrance of the bamboo forest. The stalks were impossibly tall, stretching upward like green columns of light, their tops swaying gently against the pale sky. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, scattering patterns of gold and green on the forest floor, which was carpeted with soft moss and fallen leaves. Each bamboo stalk seemed alive, resonating with a quiet energy that made Yuna's heart beat a little slower, a little steadier. As she stepped forward, the wind picked up, weaving through the bamboo stalks with a melodic rustle. Yuna froze for a moment, listening. The sound was unlike any ordinary wind. It moved through the leaves like a chorus of whispered voices, soft and lilting, carrying a subtle rhythm. She felt a strange shiver of recognition when she realized that the whispers sounded almost like her name, carried gently by the wind, not frightening but peaceful. Each syllable felt like a tender greeting, as if the forest itself had known her long before she arrived. The villager gestured for her to follow deeper into the grove. Yuna moved carefully, her bare feet brushing against the soft forest floor, feeling the cool moss give slightly under each step. The bamboo seemed to bend slightly as she passed, leaves brushing her arms in delicate, caressing gestures. It was as though the forest were alive in a conscious, protective way, acknowledging her presence and welcoming her into its ancient embrace. With each step, she felt a sense of calm settle more firmly in her chest, her worries and thoughts from the city melting further away as they walked. The villager explained, "This forest remembers every traveler who has ever passed through the village. Every joy, every sorrow, every quiet sigh left behind is held within the bamboo. The wind carries these memories, and in turn, it shares them with those who listen." Yuna looked around, amazed. The idea that the trees could remember, that the wind could speak, was not unsettling, it was profoundly comforting. She could almost feel the accumulation of centuries of human experience within the rustling of leaves. The villager stopped at a small clearing where sunlight pooled on the forest floor, illuminating a circle of moss-covered stones. He gestured for Yuna to sit, and she did so, sinking slightly into the soft moss. The wind through the bamboo became softer here, as if waiting. Then, a subtle shift occurred in the rustling sounds. The whispers coalesced into a story, a tale, carried not by words, but by feeling, by images and emotions threading together. Yuna closed her eyes and let herself absorb it fully. She felt herself transported to another time, following the life of a young girl who wandered through a forest very much like this one. The girl was gentle, quiet, and observant, listening to the wind as it moved through the trees. The forest spoke to her, guiding her steps, teaching her the songs of leaves and the rhythm of sunlight through branches. She became attuned to the patterns of the world, understanding the subtle movements of life that most overlooked. Over time, she was chosen by the forest itself to become the keeper of wind dreams. Her task was not grand or public, but sacred, in its quiet way, to collect the dreams of travelers, the whispered hopes and fears of those who passed through, and to send them along on the wind, gently carrying their burdens or guiding them toward clarity. Yuna felt an unexpected connection to the girl in the story. As the tale unfolded, she imagined the forest around her transforming, each bamboo stalk shimmering faintly, leaves waving in silent applause. The story did not rush. It moved with a deliberate calm, each moment given space to breathe, to settle. The wind seemed to echo the girl's journey, carrying fragments of other travelers' experiences, weaving them into a tapestry of understanding and serenity. Yuna sensed that she, too, was becoming part of that tapestry, a silent witness and participant in the ancient ritual of listening and receiving. The villager did not speak during the tale, but his presence was steady and reassuring. Yuna felt the depth of his understanding, the kind that comes from a lifetime of walking through such forests and listening with care. Occasionally, a leaf would brush her shoulder, or the faint touch of wind would stir her hair, and each sensation felt intentional, as though the forest were engaging her senses fully, ensuring she absorbed not just the story, but the calm, meditative rhythm of its telling. Hours seemed to pass without the passage of time. The whispers of the bamboo grew softer as the story drew to a close. The girl in the tale had embraced her role as the keeper of wind dreams fully, finding contentment not in recognition or fame, but in the quiet satisfaction of helping others without expectation. Yuna felt herself exhale deeply, a weight she hadn't realized she carried leaving her body. Her shoulders relaxed, her chest opened, and a profound sense of inner peace settled over her. The villager finally spoke, his voice gentle as the evening light filtering through the stalks. The forest shares its wisdom freely, but only with those who listen carefully. Each visitor takes a piece of the forest's calm with them, and in return leaves something behind, a memory, a hope, a silent promise. You are part of this. Now Yuna opened her eyes, looking around the grove. The bamboo seemed to shimmer faintly in the fading light, acknowledging her presence with a quiet, natural elegance. She felt connected, not only to the forest and its past visitors, but to something larger and timeless, a continuum of understanding and care stretching through the years. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with muted shades of orange and purple, Yuna followed the villager back along the winding paths. The village lanterns had begun to glow, casting golden reflections on the cobblestones and roof tiles. Yuna held her moon-shaped lantern close, feeling its gentle warmth against her hands. The quiet rhythm of the village, combined with the forest's lingering whispers, wrapped around her like a soft shawl. She understood now that her journey through the bamboo grove was not only an exploration of the physical world, but of her own heart and mind, a slow, deliberate opening to calm, wonder, and self-awareness. That night, Yuna returned to her guest room earlier than usual, eager to rest, but carrying the serene energy of the forest with her. She placed the crescent-shaped lantern on the low wooden table, letting its faint glow mingle with the silver light of the rising moon. She lay down on the futon, feeling the soft weight of the blanket over her and the gentle firmness of the tatami beneath her. Her body had never felt so relaxed, her mind never so quiet. For the first time, she slept in harmony, not only with herself, but with the world around her, the mountains, the village, and the bamboo forest that seemed to know her name. Her dreams were vivid yet soothing, filled with whispers of bamboo, swaying leaves, and soft glows of lanterns drifting across moonlit paths. She wandered through forests of light and shadow, following invisible currents of wind that carried stories of other travelers and whispers of the girl who had become the keeper of wind dreams. Yuna felt herself moving with grace, untethered from anxiety or expectation, guided instead by the gentle rhythm of the forest and the quiet, enduring pulse of ancient memory. Each breath she took felt like a note in a lullaby, each step a rhythm in a song older than the mountains themselves. When the morning sun finally filtered through the paper windows once again, Yuna woke slowly, her body light, her mind clear, her heart filled with calm. The crescent-shaped lantern on her table glowed faintly, a soft reminder of the forest and the stories it had shared. She understood now that her time in the bamboo grove was more than a simple walk, it was an initiation into a rhythm of life that emphasized listening, patience, and gentle care. And she knew, without doubt, that the forest, the village, and its whispered stories would always be with her, guiding her, comforting her, and reminding her that even in the world beyond the mountains, moments of peace could be found, one breath, one whisper, one gentle step at a time. Moonfox of the quiet hill. The morning in the hidden Hanok village was wrapped in a delicate hush, as though the world itself paused to breathe before the day fully unfolded. Yuna awoke slowly, the warmth of the crescent-shaped lantern from the night before spilling a soft silver glow across her room. Its gentle light mingled with the first rays of dawn that filtered through the paper windows, casting a lattice of subtle patterns onto the tatami. She stretched languidly, her body still carrying the lingering serenity of the bamboo forest, and felt a curious stirring of excitement deep within her. Today, she sensed, would be different. There was a quiet pull in her chest, a gentle nudge that encouraged her to wander further beyond the village paths she had already explored. The cobblestones were cool beneath her bare feet as she stepped outside, the crisp mountain air brushing her skin and filling her lungs with a calming freshness. The village was alive in its quiet way. Lanterns glimmered softly from the eaves. Birds sang muted morning songs from the rooftops, and the faint whisper of wind moved through the gardens, brushing against the blossoms. Yuna's fingers traced the edge of the crescent-shaped lantern she carried, feeling the subtle warmth pulsing within it. The object had become more than a lantern, it was a companion, a quiet guide, and a comforting presence that seemed attuned to her own heartbeat. As she wandered through the winding paths, Yuna noticed movement out of the corner of her eye. A soft, white shape darted between the shadows and the trees. Curious, she followed cautiously, stepping lightly over moss-covered stones, careful not to disturb the delicate rhythm of the village. There, standing atop a small rise, was a fox, unlike any she had ever seen. Its fur was pure white, glowing faintly in the morning light, and delicate silver markings traced along its back and tail, shimmering with a subtle luminescence. Its eyes were calm, deep pools of silver, and they seemed to see Yuna in a way that felt profound, unhurried, and understanding. For a long moment, Yuna simply watched, captivated by the fox's serene presence. There was no fear, only a sense of invitation. The fox tilted its head slightly, and in a movement that felt more like a gesture than action, it began to walk slowly along a narrow path leading upward through a hidden grove she had never noticed before. Without thinking, Yuna followed, her bare feet brushing the soft moss and leaves, her breath harmonizing with the gentle rhythm of the morning. The path led to a hill shrouded in delicate mist, the kind that softened the edges of the world and made everything appear dreamlike. As they ascended, Yuna noticed how the sunlight filtered through the mist in thin golden shafts. Yet the moon, still faintly visible in the pale sky, seemed to shine with an unusually warm glow. The hilltop opened into a small clearing where the moonlight felt almost tangible, wrapping around her like a soft blanket of warmth. The fox paused in the center, its tail curling elegantly, its gaze fixed on Yuna as if urging her to sit. She lowered herself to the ground, the soft moss beneath her a gentle cushion, and the fox approached, its silver-marked fur glimmering in the warm moonlight. It curled beside her, resting its head lightly on her knee. Yuna exhaled slowly, feeling an unfamiliar release ripple through her body. For years, she had carried the quiet weight of worry, exhaustion, and unspoken anxieties, a heaviness that never seemed to fully leave, no matter how much she rested. Now, sitting beside this gentle creature in the embrace of the warm moonlight, she felt that weight begin to dissolve, melting into the earth beneath her. The fox seemed to sense her thoughts and emotions, its presence steady and soothing. Yuna noticed that the air around them carried a faint, melodic hum, like the soft resonance of a lullaby composed by the forest and the hill itself. She closed her eyes and listened, letting the rhythm of the moonlight, the wind, and the fox's gentle warmth wash over her. With each breath, she felt a profound sense of release, a quiet understanding that she was allowed to rest fully, without expectation or judgment. Then, as though the moonlight itself had taken voice, the story of the moon fox unfolded. It was not spoken in words alone, but in images and feelings, subtle and deliberate. Yuna saw the fox moving through the hills long ago, appearing to travelers who carried invisible burdens, those weighed down by sorrow, anxiety, or weariness of spirit. The fox guided them not with force, but with a quiet invitation, its presence alone sufficient to calm the most restless hearts. Travelers would find themselves led to soft, mossy clearings, to gentle streams, or to quiet places bathed in moonlight, where they could breathe deeply and allow their worries to drift away. Some would awake to find themselves renewed, their spirits lighter, their minds clearer, and the memory of the fox lingering as a warm, comforting presence in the back of their hearts. Yuna opened her eyes, and the moonlight seemed to pulse slightly. As if confirming the story, she noticed how the silver markings on the fox's fur caught the light, shimmering like liquid starlight. The creature's eyes held a patient, knowing wisdom, and in them she felt a reflection of her own tiredness. Softened and understood, she realized that the moon fox had not just appeared to her randomly, it had been waiting, guided by the quiet awareness of her emotional fatigue, a guardian of her heart as much as of the hilltop itself. Hours passed like a slow, deliberate sigh. Yuna sat with the fox curled beside her, listening to the subtle symphony of night and moonlight, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant whisper of the village below, the faint hum of her lantern resting beside her. She allowed her mind to release every lingering worry, imagining them dissolving into the warmth of the moonlight, carried away like delicate feathers on the wind. She felt her pulse steady, her breathing lengthen, and a profound serenity settle into her chest. This was more than rest. It was renewal, a deep alignment of body, mind, and spirit, a silent companion, its presence both grounding and uplifting. Yuna imagined all the travelers who had encountered the moon fox before her, each one leaving behind traces of their own stories woven into the quiet magic of the hill. She sensed a continuity that transcended time, a lineage of care and comfort offered to those who needed it most. It was not heroic or dramatic, but infinitely powerful in its simplicity, a quiet act of guidance, a gentle touch for the soul. Eventually, Yuna felt the pull of drowsiness deepening, and she allowed herself to recline fully on the mossy ground. The fox adjusted beside her, its warmth a tangible reassurance. She closed her eyes, listening to the whispered symphony of moonlight and wind, and drifted into a sleep more profound than any she had known. Her dreams were gentle and luminous, filled with silver light, soft rustling leaves, and the fox's presence guiding her through moonlit landscapes. She wandered over hills and streams, through quiet forests, and along winding mountain paths, feeling a deep connection to the land, the village, and the ancient, patient rhythm of the world. When morning arrived, it came slowly, the first pale rays of sunlight filtering across the hilltop, casting long, delicate shadows. Yuna awoke gradually, the fox still curled beside her, its silver markings glowing faintly in the gentle dawn light. She reached out to stroke its soft fur, feeling the lingering warmth and reassurance of its presence. The creature stood gracefully, tail flicking lightly, and regarded her with a serene, knowing gaze. Then, as if acknowledging the end of this particular encounter, it turned and trotted silently down the hill, disappearing into the soft morning mist. Yuna watched it go, feeling a quiet gratitude welling in her chest. She understood, without words, that the moon fox would always be with her in memory, a guardian of her rest and her spirit, even when she returned to the world beyond the mountains. Descending the hill, Yuna carried a profound sense of peace. Her steps were lighter than ever, her mind clear, her heart unburdened. The crescent-shaped lantern in her hand seemed to glow in quiet acknowledgement of the encounter, as though it too understood the depth of the renewal she had received. Back in the village, the familiar roofs and lanterns greeted her with a gentle warmth, their soft whispers now harmonizing with the memory of the fox and the quiet hill. That night, Yuna lay on her futon, the moonlight filtering softly through her window. She felt years of worry dissolve completely, replaced with the serene, grounded calm that only the moon fox could offer. Her breathing slowed, her pulse matched the gentle rhythm of the world outside, and she slipped effortlessly into a restorative sleep. The fox's presence lingered like a silver thread woven into the fabric of her dreams, carrying the warmth, guidance, and tranquility of the quiet hill into every corner of her being. She awoke the next morning with a quiet smile, understanding deeply that her journey through the hidden Hanok village was not simply about seeing magical sights or hearing stories. It was about listening, receiving, and allowing herself to be renewed. And she knew, with unspoken certainty, that the moon fox of the quiet hill would always be there for those who needed its gentle light, a guardian of hearts and weary souls, patient and unwavering in its silent, luminous presence. the night the stars spoke back. The evening air in the hidden Hanok village was cooler than the afternoon, carrying a crisp, gentle hush that seemed to settle over every rooftop, garden, and stone pathway. Yuna stepped outside her small guest room, the crescent-shaped lantern in her hands, flickering faintly as if it were aware of the coming magic. The sky above was clear and deep, a canvas of endless navy, dotted with countless stars that seemed to shimmer with intent. She paused for a moment, letting her eyes roam upward, and felt a quiet thrill, a sense of anticipation she couldn't quite name. The village was tranquil at this hour. Lanterns cast soft pools of gold along the cobblestone paths, while the occasional wind stirred the trees, carrying the faint rustle of leaves like a whispered greeting. Yuna's bare feet touched the cool stones with gentle care, her steps slow and deliberate as she wandered toward the wooden porch of one of the Hanok houses perched at the edge of the village. She remembered the stories she had in Guardian Lanterns, the bamboo forest, the moon, foxand. A deep sense of wonder filled her. She could feel the rhythm of the village in her chest, steady, patient, and infinitely calming. Reaching the porch, Yuna leaned back on her hands, settling comfortably against the smooth wood. Her crescent-shaped lantern rested beside her, its soft glow mingling with the faint glimmer of the stars above. The air was scented with pine and earth, and a faint, sweet fragrance drifted from the village gardens. Yuna tilted her head back, letting her gaze linger on the stars, noticing how each one seemed to twinkle with intention, as though aware of her presence. Then, faintly at first, she heard Ita's subtle, delicate melody drifting down from the sky. It was not like music she had ever known. It was softer than a wind chime, yet richer, a tapestry of sound that seemed to resonate directly with her heart. The notes were gentle, weaving together like the threads of an ancient story, carrying feelings rather than words. Yuna closed her eyes and let herself sink into the sound. The melody swirled around her, wrapping her in a quiet warmth, a sense of being understood and acknowledged. It was a song meant solely for her, though she could not explain why or how she knew it. The music unfolded slowly, revealing a story in subtle layers of tone and rhythm. Yuna felt herself transported, drifting through landscapes bathed in starlight. She walked along quiet rivers that shimmered like liquid silver, across meadows where the grass swayed as if dancing to the melody, and over hills that rose gently against the horizon. With each note, she felt memories she hadn't known. She carried moments of fear, moments of doubt, moments of exhaustion softly easing, replaced by a quiet courage and a sense of healing. The stars' song seemed to acknowledge her struggles, honoring them while guiding her toward clarity in her mind's eye. Yuna saw a young girl walking along these starlit paths, much like herself, learning to trust the rhythm of the world and to listen to the quiet messages hidden in the night. She felt a resonance between her own journey and that of the girl in the story, the same careful steps, the same cautious hope, the same longing for renewal and understanding. The star song wove a tale of courage and healing, of discovering strength in vulnerability, and of learning that paths once hidden could reveal themselves to those willing to listen. As Yuna sat there, entranced, she felt the faint presence of another nearby. A young villager approached, carrying a small lantern, his footsteps soft and deliberate on the wooden porch. He had kind eyes, bright with curiosity and understanding, and he gave her a gentle nod. "You hear it too, don't you?" he asked, his voice quiet, respectful, as if speaking too loudly might disturb the delicate balance of the night. Yuna nodded, unsure how to put her experience into words. I hear the melody," she said softly. "It feels like it knows me." The villager smiled gently. "That is because you are chosen. Not everyone can hear the star song. It comes only to those who carry certain burdens or who are seeking something they have almost forgotten. It is a gift of the village and the stars together, a story shared for those who need it most." Yuna let the words sink in, feeling the truth of them resonate within her. The village had welcomed her, guided her, and shared with her so many quiet wonders. Already the lanterns, the bamboo forest, the moon foxbutt. Now she realized something deeper. She was not just a visitor. She was becoming part of the villages. Stories, guidance, and magic of those who had come before. The star song was not merely entertainment or legend. It was a bridge, connecting her to the heart of the village and the rhythm of its ancient wisdom. The melody continued to flow around her, and Yuna allowed herself to lean back fully, letting the wooden porch support her weight as she closed her eyes. She felt the warmth of the night air on her skin, the gentle pulse of the lantern beside her, and the infinite reach of the starlit sky above. Each note of the song seemed to peel away layers of anxiety and worry she had carried for years, leaving in their place a calm determination and a quiet hope. She imagined herself walking along the starlit paths, letting the music guide her steps, carrying her forward with newfound courage. As the night deepened, the villager remained nearby, a quiet, grounding presence, though he said little, understanding that the experience was Yuna's alone. She felt the delicate interplay between the vast cosmos above and the small, intimate world of the village around her. The stars' song flowed seamlessly into the whispers of the roof tiles, the hum of the bamboo forest, and the gentle warmth of the moon fox's hill. It was as if all the stories she had encountered since arriving in the hidden Hanok village converged into a single, harmonious rhythm, guiding her toward a sense of wholeness she had not known she could feel. Hours passed without Yuna noticing, time folding gently around her as she listened. She felt herself release everything that had weighed her down, the persistent worry from her city life, the self-doubt that had followed her like a shadow, and the subtle tension she had carried unknowingly for so long. The star song did not rush her healing. It moved deliberately, tenderly, allowing her to process, to rest, and to absorb its quiet wisdom. With each note, she felt lighter, more grounded, and more aligned with the rhythm of the universe. Eventually, the first hints of dawn began to touch the horizon, pale streaks of pink and gold softening the navy of the sky. The star song faded, gradually leaving behind a delicate echo, like the last ripple of a stream settling into stillness. Yuna opened her eyes, feeling a profound sense of renewal. Her chest felt open, her heart steady, and her mind calm. She realized that she had been part of something extraordinary, a magical communion between the village, the stars, and her own spirit. She was no longer merely a visitor. She was a participant, an observer, and bearer of the village's living stories. The young villager stepped closer, bowing slightly. You will carry the song with you, he said quietly. It will remain in your heart, guiding you when the world grows loud or heavy. You are now part of the story, and the story will carry you forward. Yuna nodded, feeling the full weight and warmth of the truth in his words. She understood that the village had chosen her, just as it had chosen so many travelers before her, and that the gift of the star song was a blessing she could carry into every night, every quiet moment, and every dream. That night, she returned to her guest room, carrying the profound serenity of the stars within her. The crescent-shaped lantern on the low table glowed softly, a companion echoing the subtle music of the cosmos. Yuna lay down on the futon, her body fully relaxed, her breathing deep and even. The echoes of the star song lingered in her mind, guiding her into the most restful sleep she had experienced in years. She dreamt of celestial rivers, silver bridges stretching across the sky, and soft, luminous melodies weaving through the constellations. She walked among the stars with quiet confidence, guided by the song that knew her name, and felt herself becoming fully attuned to the calm, enduring rhythm of the hidden village and the world beyond. When morning came, she awoke with a gentle smile, feeling restored, brave, and grounded. She understood, without needing words, that she had received something rare and sacred. The stars had spoken back to her, revealing a story of courage, healing, and rediscovery, and in doing so, had invited her to step fully into her own place. Within the village's timeless tapestry, Yuna knew that she would carry the experience forever, a quiet, luminous thread linking her to the hidden Hanok village, its stars, its stories, and its gentle, eternal rhythm. Farewell, until the lantern glows again. The first pale fingers of dawn stretched gently over the mountains, casting soft rose and gold light across the hidden Hanok village. Yuna awoke to the quiet rustle of morning wind through the trees, her crescent-shaped lantern resting beside her futon, still glowing faintly, as if aware that today marked the end of her stay. She rose slowly, feeling the calm energy of the village settle deep in her chest. Her body felt lighter than ever, her mind still echoing with the stories she had absorbed, the whispers of roof tiles, the bamboo forest that knew her name, the moon fox on the quiet hill, and the melodies of the stars that had sung to her heart. Yuna dressed carefully, choosing soft, comfortable layers that would allow her to move freely as she walked to the edge of the village. Each step she took across the cobblestones felt deliberate, meditative, as though she were carrying the village with her in every movement. The scent of pine and earth hung in the air, mingling with the faint fragrance of morning blossoms, and she paused often to take it in, allowing the richness of the moment to imprint on her senses. The village was alive in its quiet, enduring rhythm. The lanterns flickered gently in response to the morning light. The wooden roofs gleamed softly, and the wind through the bamboo whispered subtle farewells as she moved toward the small square. At the heart of the village, she noticed the familiar faces of the villagers beginning to gather. Some carried lanterns, others held small gifts wrapped in soft fabric, and all of them greeted her with gentle smiles and bows that carried a quiet warmth she could feel in her chest. She realized that her time here had been more than just a journey. It had been an immersion into a world of care, patience, and ancient rhythms, and the villagers had accepted her fully as one who belonged to the heartbeat of this hidden place. The village elder approached first, the silver-haired woman who had guided her through the lantern workshop. She held a small, lacquered box in her hands, polished to a deep, warm shine that reflected the morning light. Yuna's fingers tingled with anticipation as the elder opened the box to reveal her crescent-shaped lantern resting gently within. Its glow was soft, delicate, almost as if it recognized its new home once again. Yet now it pulsed with the essence of every story Yuna had encountered, an archive of the village's quiet magic. "This lantern belongs to you now," the elder said softly, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of gentle knowledge. "Carry it with care, for it holds the stories you have received, and it will guide you when you need it most." Yuna reached forward with reverence, lifting the lantern from its box, and felt an unexpected warmth radiate through her hands, as though the object were alive in recognition of her touch. Another villager stepped forward, a young boy who had once guided her to the bamboo forest. "This village," he said with a shy but sincere smile, "returns to those who need it. Whenever your heart grows heavy or your spirit longs for calm, the path will find you again." Yuna nodded, feeling the depth of his words resonate within her. She understood that the village existed not merely in a physical sense, but as a living memory, a sanctuary she could carry with her through time and space. The villagers lined the edges of the path leading out of the village, a quiet, living corridor of goodwill and blessing. Lanterns glimmered softly in the morning light, casting subtle reflections on the cobblestones. As Yuna walked along the path, she could feel the eyes of the village upon her, not in judgment or scrutiny, but in gentle watchfulness and care. Each step felt like a parting gift, a blessing carried forward by her own footsteps. When she reached the outer boundary of the mountains, the hidden Hanok village began to fade. The stone paths shimmered and dissolved like mist. The lanterns softened into the morning haze, and the bamboo forest became a memory of green whispers and quiet light. Yuna paused for a moment, turning to look back at the place that had given her so much rest, healing, understanding, and a sense of belonging she had never known in the city. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, committing the details of the village to memory. The faint, golden glow of the lanterns, the pattern of shadows across the rooftops, the soft melodies carried by the wind, and the profound warmth of every encounter. The crescent-shaped lantern pulsed gently in her hands, as though acknowledging the finality of this departure, while reassuring her that the stories it contained would continue to accompany her. She tucked it carefully into her bag, feeling the steady rhythm of its glow against her chest. A constant reminder that the village's magic was not bound by space alone. The descent from the mountains to the city was quiet, contemplative. Yuna walked along winding paths and forest trails, noticing subtle shifts in the light and air, feeling as though the village still lingered in every breeze. She imagined the moon fox on the quiet hill, the bamboo forest swaying gently, and the stars singing softly above, carrying the essence of the hidden Hanok village along with her. By the time she arrived at the outskirts of the city, the cacophony of urban life seemed softened. filtered through the calm and rhythm she had absorbed in the mountains. When Yuna entered her apartment that evening, the city's lights seemed sharper, louder, and yet somehow less intrusive than before. She set her bag down and carefully lifted the crescent-shaped lantern, placing it on her bedside table. She noticed immediately that it glowed softly, faint and warm, as though carrying the residual magic of the village with it. The faint pulse of its light echoed the rhythm of her heartbeat, a gentle reassurance that she was not alone, that the stories of the hidden village continued to flow around her even now, that night. As Yuna lay on her futon in her city apartment, she felt a profound peace descend upon her. The lantern's glow mingled with the pale city light filtering through her window, casting delicate patterns across the walls and ceiling. She could hear the subtle hum of the city, yet it no longer intruded. Instead, it blended harmoniously with the quiet energy of the village and the moonlight, the whispers of bamboo, the guardian fox, and the star song. Every story she had experienced seemed to pulse gently in her mind, like the soft thrum of a lullaby she could carry with her anywhere. Her dreams that night were filled with all she had encountered in the village. She wandered again through the bamboo forest, hearing the whispers of leaves calling her name, feeling the moonfox curling beside her on the hill, and listening to the stars sing their quiet melodies above. She saw the village glowing softly through mist, its lanterns shimmering like distant fireflies, each one carrying the gentle wisdom of the generations that had lived and rested there. Yuna felt herself fully part of this living tapestry, woven seamlessly into the ongoing rhythm of the hidden Hanok village. Even as she slept far from its mountains, the lantern's glow, soft and steady, reminded her that rest, healing, and wonder were not confined to the village alone. Its light carried the ancient stories into her dreams, and through them, the lessons of patience, courage, and quiet care had taken root in her spirit. Yuna felt a deep understanding that she could always return to this state of calm, not through travel or physical presence, but through the stories, memories, and magic she had received. It was a gift she would carry for the rest of her life, connection to the village that transcended place and time. When dawn came again over the city, Yuna awoke slowly, the glow of the crescent-shaped lantern fading only slightly in response. To the new light, she smiled softly, feeling restored, steady, and grounded. The city outside her window no longer seemed overwhelming. Its sounds, once intrusive and chaotic, were now absorbed into a quiet rhythm that she carried within her. She understood that the hidden Hanok village had left her not just with stories, but with the ability to walk through life with gentleness, awareness, and a calm that could endure beyond the mountains. Yuna rose from her futon, her movements slow and deliberate, carrying the soft warmth of the lantern in her hands. She knew that the village's magic remained with her, woven into the fibers of her being. The moon-shaped lantern pulsed faintly, as if responding to her heartbeat, a gentle reminder that the hidden Hanok village would always return to those who needed it most. Its light would continue to guide her through dreams and quiet moments, bringing the wisdom and serenity of the mountains into every corner of her life. She placed the lantern on the table once more, allowing its gentle glow to mingle with the city's morning light, and sat quietly beside it. In that moment, Yuna realized that the journey to the hidden village was never truly over. It was a living, ongoing story she carried within her, ready to awaken whenever she paused, listened, and allowed herself to rest. The village, with its lanterns, whispers, bamboo forests, moonfox, and star song, had become a part of her Han eternal sanctuary, accessible at any time, reminding her that calm, care, and wonder were always within reach. Now, drift deeper into sleep, carrying the village's magic with you. Let the lanterns glow, illuminate your dreams tonight. Feel the bamboo's whispers, the moon fox's warmth, and the star song's gentle lullaby. Know that the hidden Hanok village will always be within your heart. Sleep peacefully, for the stories are yours to keep. Until we meet again, dear listener, good night.